We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them. The Republicans, they show up.
The left loves to present itself as America's moral guide. Righteous, enlightened, and always on the right side of history. But Bill Maher isn't buying the performance. A lifelong liberal, he's become his own party's harshest critic, calling out the hypocrisy and self-deception eating the movement from the inside. Maher argues that what was once a proud liberal tradition rooted in reason and honesty has now deteriorated into tribalism and outrage. It's a bold charge, but what he says next is even sharper. It's the kind of truth bomb that sends the so-called guardians of truth scrambling for cover.
And I don't completely believe any of it. Not right away, not until I check it out. And when I ask, is it true? Usually the answer turns out to be, well, sort of. Or yes, but, yeah. See, we've all become very adept at saying things that are technically true but lack context, or that leave out half the story. So if we're going to ban untruth, does that include the half-truth, the quarter-truth? And wait, don't the wokest people in the world believe that what really matters is your truth?
Yeah, I'm siding with Maher here. If the left insists on acting as the nation's truth police, then we have to ask, what truth are they actually enforcing? The kind that challenges power, or the kind that protects it? It's easy to preach honesty when the facts flatter your ideology, push your agenda, and make you look heroic. The real test comes when the truth exposes your own blind spots, your leaders, your dogmas, and your sacred narratives. That's when the commitment to honesty usually vanishes. Maher's point cuts deep. Truth doesn't join political teams. You can't claim to defend facts while censoring the ones that make you uncomfortable. Either you stand for truth wherever it leads, or you're just running a prettier version of propaganda.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them. The Republicans, they show up.
The left loves to brag about being the defenders of truth, calling out lies, conspiracy theories, and criminal behavior. And sure, that part's easy. Nobody's defending misinformation or illegal activity. But that's not the real battlefield. The real danger begins when truth gets twisted, filtered, or selectively edited to protect a political worldview. When facts are cherry-picked to silence dissent, that isn't truth policing. It's truth manipulation. Maher's been calling this shift out for years. He's watched the left drift from open debate to ideological enforcement. They're no longer simply debunking falsehoods. They're choosing which truths the public is allowed to hear. And that's the most dangerous censorship of all, the kind wrapped in moral righteousness, executed under the excuse of protecting people from ideas they're fully capable of evaluating on their own.
And so should it be in the digital town square. And so should bots and deep fakes be banned and anything else that aren't really the people who say they are. But that's an entirely different thing than actual people expressing an opinion as repugnant or offensive or as misguided as some opinions may be. This is still America, where people have the right to express what they think, including to be wrong, to lie, and yes, the right to be an asshole. And if you think you know everything and no one else could possibly have some other truth, you should be glad for that protection, because you're an asshole.
This is America, the country where free speech isn't just a right, it's the backbone of democracy. It's what separates open societies from authoritarian regimes. Everyone should be free to speak their mind, even when their views are unpopular or uncomfortable. But that freedom comes with equal responsibility. Others have the right to question, challenge, and fact-check those ideas. That's how truth sharpens through debate, not suppression. It's a delicate balance. Too much control and you get censorship. Too little and chaos takes over. But here's the reality. Free speech was never meant to be easy. It's meant to be honest, messy, challenging, and unfiltered. The moment we silence voices for their own good, we start dismantling the very freedom that defines America, the freedom to think, to speak, and to disagree without fear.
But 41% of Democrats last year believed the hospitalization rate if you got COVID unvaccinated was over 50%, when it was actually less than 1%. Somebody's misinformation got to those people. Sometimes misinformation is just history's first draft. I see a lot of things on social media and also on old media.
MAHER didn't hold back when criticizing the DNC's handling of COVID. The party that preached trust the science often pushed selective narratives. He called out how vaccine debates were politicized and how anyone questioning mandates was instantly labeled ignorant, selfish, or dangerous. During the pandemic, mainstream outlets hammered the public with dire headlines, insisting the unvaccinated were flooding hospitals. But according to MAHER, the data told a very different story. He claims fewer than 1% of those who refused the vaccine ended up hospitalized, a number that flips the entire narrative upside down. To MAHER, it wasn't science. It was political messaging disguised as virtue, a form of mass manipulation that punished dissent instead of encouraging honest dialogue.
The Washington Post recently got embroiled in a self-inflicted storm when one of their best reporters, David Weigel, retweeted this joke. Every girl is bi. You just have to figure out if it's polar or neutral. The comedian who actually wrote the tweet called it a banal throwaway joke, which is exactly what it is. Throwaway, as in if you don't like it, throw it away. For eons, both have made jokes about how the other is crazy, and no one but the perpetually offended thinks it means anything more than that the sexes get frustrated over how differently we each see the world. And yes, we relieve some of that frustration with humor and scene.
Exactly. The woke movement seems permanently offended by everything. Nothing is safe anymore. A harmless joke, an old novel, or even a classic movie can suddenly become problematic because it doesn't meet today's shifting moral standards. It's like navigating a cultural minefield where intent is irrelevant and interpretation is everything. Comedy, the last refuge of free expression, has taken the hardest hit. Comedians now overthink every line, terrified one punchline could get them labeled insensitive or canceled. And despite America being exhausted from constant outrage, the Crusaders push harder. They want humor sanitized, culture rewritten, and society restricted to their rules. But here's the irony. They've proven MAHER's point perfectly. When everything is offensive, nothing is funny. And when laughter dies, truth becomes the only thing you're not allowed to say.
Weigel pulled down his retweet and wrote, "I apologize and did not mean to cause any harm," and that was the end of that. I'm joking, of course. The unlicensed daycare center that is today's newsroom went ape. You see, the Post has another writer named Felicia Sonmez, and she's a lot. For example, she tweeted about Kobe Bryant's 2003 rape trial hours after his helicopter crash. And despite the fact that she says Dave Weigel is a good friend, she resurrected the tweet he had taken down with a screenshot and demanded to know what the Post was going to do about this unacceptable evil that must not be allowed to stand. Sarcastically writing, "Fantastic to work at a news outlet where tweets like this are allowed." Yes, could you imagine a world that allows jokes you don't like?
The worst part about cancel culture is that it never accepts an apology. You can delete the post, issue a heartfelt statement, and practically crawl on your knees, and it still won't matter. The mob isn't after remorse. It's after destruction. Once they decide you're guilty, their mission is total erasure. They go after your job, your reputation, your income, even your family. One misunderstood joke or ancient tweet can spark a full-scale witch hunt fueled by social media outrage. It's not about accountability anymore. It's about control, showing who gets to speak and who gets silenced. And that's exactly what MAHER warns about. When outrage becomes entertainment and forgiveness disappears, society doesn't grow. It devours itself one cancellation at a time.
Of course, the leadership at the Post folded like a Miami condo and suspended Weigel without pay for a month and denounced the offending retweet as a gross violation of their values, free speech apparently not being one of them. Then a third Post reporter offered up the idea, of course on Twitter, because why do anything privately, that, hey, maybe everyone was overreacting and we should all just calm down. And then it was really on. Felicia demanded that the Post discipline him and tweeted about that. I assume she's tweeting about this right now.
This is why cancel culture must be stopped. It knows no limits, no boundaries, no logic. What starts as accountability quickly becomes a moral crusade against anyone who thinks differently. It's never enough to attack the original target. The mob also hunts down anyone who defends them, questions the outrage, or even stays silent. Guilt by association becomes the new rule. Soon, they're digging through years of tweets and clips, desperate to find anything that can destroy careers and reputations. Creates a climate of fear. People stop speaking not because they're wrong, but because they're terrified of becoming the next target. And that's the real threat. A society where people self-censor is a society where ideas die, where intimidation replaces discussion, where the loudest mob, not the strongest truth, wins.
For days, she raged with the fire of 1,000 burning bras. Sending a gazillion tweets calling for more to be done against Weigel, mocking her bosses, attacking colleagues, and letting the world know how much the Washington Post sucked. And this endless bickering and infighting continued online in public view until the bell rang and they all went to seventh period. Now, note that I haven't yet told you what age Felicia Sonmez and her quarreling co-workers are. Why? Because I didn't have to. Because you can't imagine someone my age acting like this in an office.
The woke movement refuses to acknowledge that people grow, change, and evolve. To them, one outdated joke or poorly phrased comment from a decade ago defines you forever. There's no context, no forgiveness, no redemption. They ignore the simple reality that maturity reshapes perspectives. What someone believed at 20 rarely reflects who they are at 40. But to the outrage mob, growth doesn't matter. Only present-day moral purity counts. It's as if they've forgotten that change is the essence of being human. We're supposed to learn and improve. Yet somehow, they treat evolution like a flaw and forgiveness like a weakness. MAHER is right. This obsession with permanent punishment isn't just irrational, it's fundamentally un-American.
The New York Times just ran an op-ed entitled, "Why Are We Still Governed by Baby Boomers?" This is why. Because too many millennials are overly sensitive, overly fragile, and have no sense of priorities. You know, I'm sure many boomers would love to retire, but they can't. They're like the grandmother who'd much rather be watching Judge Judy, but has to raise her grandkids because her own kids are too f***ed up to manage it.
In the end, MAHER's message strikes at the heart of what matters. Truth shouldn't bend to political loyalty, and free speech is not negotiable. The left's growing fixation on moral policing, censorship, and approved truths is backfiring badly. When people fear speaking honestly, society loses its edge. Comedy collapses, conversation dries up, and what's left is sanitized conformity. MAHER isn't perfect, but he's one of the few willing to criticize his own side. He reminds us that once truth becomes partisan, it stops being truth. Real progress comes from confronting difficult facts, allowing debate, and letting people evolve. That's the America worth defending, the one that values dialogue over dogma, forgiveness over fury, and truth over tribalism. And that wraps up today's video. If you found this perspective valuable, hit like and subscribe for more sharp political commentary. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next.